Jennifer, and this is my little boy who is now 3 months old, and we are going to tell you about our two favorite pumps, the Willow pump and how it compares to the more traditional pump, the Spectra 1. So without further ado, I'm going to put him in here so I can use my hands to kind of more easily explain it to you. So we will start with the Willow pump because this is a very unique pump. It goes right into your bra. First of its kind, really. So this is the pump itself, and you have 3 parts to it. So here we have the flange, and so it looks like this. Your nipple goes right in here, and then milk kind of comes out, and it goes into the flex tube here. So that just connects. This pops in, and then you have a bag that goes around here. It is a one-way valve so that milk doesn't spill out. Goes in here. The tube just, or the bag just goes around, just like that. This clips on. The whole thing clips onto the pump, and obviously it's the same on both sections. And then both of them just go right into your bra. So I'll go change, put them on, and we'll show you how this thing works. So we're back. I changed into this nursing shirt so that you could see the pump more clearly. So I have it on now. And you can see the pump right here. So I have the nursing bra on, and you can see the pump under here. So you've got the power button, the start play button, and then the suction up and down. And obviously you have that on both sides. So I'm going to turn both of them on, and then I'm going to start it. Now when I do start it, the initial phase, it suctions to your chest, and that way you can lean forward, lean back, and milk doesn't spill. So that is the loudest part of it. So I'm gonna be completely silent so you can listen to that. And I'm gonna have the camera come a little bit closer so they can hear. Alright, so that is the loudest that it gets, and this is the quietest that it gets. If you are in basically anywhere with background noise, easily a restaurant, if you are at a party, if you are at most offices with computers whirring, air conditioners on, a friend's house with like 3 or more friends talking, you probably aren't going to hear this. And when you put it on, then you're basically going to the bathroom to put it on. You're not really putting it on in front of people, so they're not going to hear that initial phase. It's now going into the stimulation phase, so I'll let you listen to that while I get the I get this on, because this is another cool thing about the pump, is that I can actually play with my son, put him on while the pump is going. So I'll let you listen again while I put this on. Alright, so one of the limitations of most other pumps is that if you want to wear your child, while you're making dinner or whatever it happens to be, it's hard to do. I obviously didn't try this when he was an infant because the pump wasn't out yet, but a lot of times I would need to pump right after he ate and he was fussy, or I needed to pump and make dinner and he was fussy, and I wanted to be able to put him, in something and be able to wear him around, but I couldn't with the pump sticking out. So here, notice I'm continuing to pump. Yeah. And he'll go right in here. Yeah. And he just kind of goes right between them. And I can wear it, and you can see, I mean, there is some plastic here, so some babies may not like being not right up against you. At first I tried it with a pillow, but I realized that he didn't need it with a pillow. So yeah, that's that. So I'm going to try it in a different outfit now. We are now in expression phase, so I am going to turn the pumps up to a higher vacuum, and I will let you listen to how it sounds on the highest suction. With the AC on, and if you could come a little closer to try to listen to the pump, it is actually much harder to hear now. So let's talk about the app. So it only connects to an iPhone right now. So I had to actually borrow my husband's iPhone, and so I'm using it just for the app and Bluetooth. You can see on here, it's an expression phase on both sides. I've been pumping for 28 minutes on the left and 28 minutes now on the right, and I've gotten just over an ounce on each side. You cannot control when it goes into expression phase. It does it when 0.4 ounces hits on the left, and it will go again on the right when 0.4 ounces hit. So that can be problematic if you are pumping right after nursing and you've basically emptied yourself, because it will be in stimulation phase the whole time. Again, if you're power pumping, it can be problematic in reverse, because they consider anything within 25 minutes to be one pump session. So if you are doing a power pump and you're already in expression, it won't go back to that stimulation mode. So you're in expression that whole power pump. Speaking of power pumping though, the charge is actually pretty good. One charge will get you about 10 pumps. So if you're power pumping, that's about a quarter or a half of a day. If you're doing regular pumping, that will last you the entire day. If the charge, it's pretty quick. It takes about 2 hours to fully charge. If you're in a crunch, it only takes 20 minutes to do a charge for one pump. But of note, if you are in a crunch, you cannot pump while it's plugged in. So let me show you how to collect the milk after you've pumped. So when you take the pump off, you still have some milk in the flex tube. So basically what you do is you bring the pump forward like this, and it will suck it up into the flex tube. Once it's all gone, you basically do a flip. So you do a 360 flip, and it brings it out of the flex tube into the one-way valve. And you can kind of practice so that you're not losing a lot of milk. So once you finish that, you're ready. You just press these two buttons and the whole thing comes off. And then you have the milk in your bag. As you can see, there's some air in here. And that can be a problem when you're power pumping, because I don't know, I think it counts the air as milk or something, but it makes the app less accurate. So there have been times when I thought that I pumped about 3.5 ounces, but I've only pumped 2 because of a power pumping session. Now the company says that the app is accurate to about 1/2 ounce, which I think in general is true if I'm doing a single session. The fact that air gets into the bag is also problematic because these bags are expensive. They're about 50 cents a bag. So if you are pumping 8 to 10 times a day, or if you're only pumping 4 to 5 times a day, but you need to use 2 bags because you pump, more than 4 or exactly 4 ounces, but the air doesn't let you pump 4 ounces, then you could be spending, $1 or $2 per pump session, which is about $70 a week. Now these bags, they are freezable, but as you can see, they're not really freezer optimized because they don't always fill. There's some air in there. So they are freezable, but not really freezer optimized. So let's compare that to the Spectra one. So this is the Spectra 1. As you can see, it is a lot bulkier, and as you can hear, it's a lot louder. We'll have the camera come forward so you can hear it a little bit. It is the only pump, though, where you can adjust the cycle and vacuum independently. The only thing that you can do on the Willow pump that you can't do on the Spectra is the Willow pump will automatically go into expression phase on each pump independently, which this one, if you adjust the cycle or the vacuum, you're going to do it on both breasts at the same time. And then, of course, the other thing that is a lot harder to do, but you know, when you're pumping a lot, I've kind of mastered it, is pick up your little boy. So one time, though, when he was being fussy in the middle of the night, I picked him up, and I had almost finished pumping, and this guy was fussy, and he knocked off one of my bottles. And anyone who says don't cry over spilled milk has obviously never breastfed or pumped, because that was a lot of milk, and it was a sad moment. All right. So a few things that I have issues with the Willow specifically is one, you have to actually reach into your shirt to turn on and off or turn up and down the stimulation. It would be nice if they could do that from the app, which they haven't been able to do yet. The other thing is it would be nice if they had a light that specifically lit up this area of the flange so that in the middle of the night when you're putting it on, the power button kind of sheds some light, but you basically have to turn on all of the lights in the middle of the night, which, you know, I don't really like to do. And then the other thing is when you're doing 25 minutes of continuous pumping, it will automatically turn off, which can be a good thing, but for some reason the power button will then, or the play button will start to flash when that happens, and the only way to turn it off is if you do that full flip that we just went over. So if you're in a meeting or something, you may have flashing lights if it automatically turned off after 25 minutes, and there's no other way to turn that off. I've brought up these issues to my personal consultant, which they pair you with whenever you buy the pump. I've heard some bad reviews during the beta testing of the Willow pump with their customer service, but they've clearly upped their game, because whenever you buy it, you get paired with a personal consultant. They make a time to talk with you. They will call you, they will text you. If you call back to customer service, they pair you with that one. They are definitely willing to bend over backwards for you. At least this has been my experience. And then the video tutorials are really good, and then the paper instructions are really good. So as far as customer service, I think they've really been on top of their game. So the two biggest issues that I have with the Willow pump actually are the cost, and that it doesn't actually pump as much as the Spectra. So the cost, I already mentioned the cost in these bags, but also the pump itself is not covered by insurance. And if you want to buy extra flex tubes, extra flanges, you know, extra power cord, then it's about 30 cents or $30 each, and so that can really add up. So then, as I said, it doesn't pump as much as the Spectra. I was trying to figure out exactly how much less. So I did, during my 2 a.m. pump, one night I did the Willow pump first, followed by the Spectra. The second night I did the Spectra first, followed by the Willow. So I'll show you what I got. So the first night when I did the Spectra, or the Willow pump first, this is how you open the bag, by the way. You have to cut it, and then it just kind of pours into here. So that was one side. So as I said, this night I did the Willow pump first, and you can see I got about, you know, what is that, like 1 ounce? About 1.5 ounces. And then when I pumped with the Spectra afterwards, I got an additional, you know, 1.5, 2 ounces. When you compare that to the second night when I did the Spectra first, so when you combine these two, looks like I got just over 4 ounces. And then the Willow pump, I mean the Spectra basically depleted me, so I basically have nothing left. The only downside I really find to the Spectra is that it's just not discreet, but it's otherwise a really great pump. So So you just saw that the Willow pump pumps less than the Spectra, but I will say that when I use the Spectra, I use the highest cycle and the highest vacuum, which if you're using settings more similar to the Willow pump, you may pump equivalent. The Spectra is the only pump that I know that allows you to independently adjust the vacuum and the cycle. So I don't know if that means that everyone is going to pump, everyone's going to pump 2 ounces less on the Willow pump versus the Spectra, which for some people who pump a lot, that may only be about 10%, or if everyone's going to pump about half, which seems to be what I was doing. Now that being said, the Willow pump is fairly discreet, so you can do power pumping throughout the workday. And so where the Spectra may empty your breast after 15 minutes, the Willow pump may take 2 hours to empty your breast, and you may need to do 4 power sessions. But if you're in the middle of a busy work week, you could do that, and so potentially you could catch up. I find that at the end of the day, I only pump, a few ounces less on the Willow versus the Spectra, but that's just been kind of what I've experienced. The other thing to think about is that the Willow pump will still give you that stimulation. So if you have a fussy baby week, a busy work week, you're ready to give up that 2 a.m. pump because of sleep deprivation, you can just put the Willow pump on, and it really doesn't take much time, and you're going to still get that stimulation. So that's one other advantage of the Willow pump, but it does pump less. So last but certainly not least, let's talk about cleaning of the pumps, because anyone who's been pumping knows that cleaning is about half the battle. Just looking at it, the Spectra seems to look dirtier after I pump compared to the Willow pump. I don't know if it's the material that the Willow pump uses and that the Spectra just clings to milk more and the Willow pump doesn't, but it just looks a little bit cleaner. But either way, let's start with the Spectra first. So the way I do it, you can see there's a lot of different bottles that attach. So I use the Advent bottles, and that's helpful because you can buy a lot of extra parts, and then you basically just throw it into the soapy water at the end of the day, and they are microwave safe. So I will have a lot of extra parts, and I basically just throw them into the soapy water, and then at the end of the day, I can, take them out and rinse them off, which I'm not going to do here, and basically just put them into the microwave container, and then they're all clean. Take that with the Willow pump, which is dishwasher safe, but is not microwave safe. So I had to kind of switch how I clean it. So you have to take the whole, pump apart, the flex tube, but it does have one less part because it's only the flex tube and the flange. I just put it into soapy water, and they give you these brushes, which are nice because this bigger one fits right in with the flex tube. So you can basically just go like that, rinse it off, and then you can use a regular bottle brush for in here, and then you have this little brush which goes in there. And so they really don't take that much time to clean, but it is a little bit more effort than I think the Spectra, just because you can have so many extra parts for a lot cheaper and just throw it into the microwave. So, in conclusion, the Willow pump is a good pump if you need to pump every 3 hours but can't. So if you're in a work situation that can't, going grocery shopping, at a party, you have a fussy baby, if you're in an airplane for 10 hours straight and didn't bring your little one, any of those situations would be really good for the Willow pump. However, as we mentioned, the downsides are, oh, you like mommy's hair? The downsides are that it does not pump as much as the Spectra, and of course the cost. And since right now insurance doesn't cover it, you're probably going to be getting a second pump anyway for that reason, and then you really would need a second one because the bags itself make it too expensive. So that concludes what we're discussing with the Willow pump. If you have any questions or comments, leave it in the section below and we'll get back to you. Right? Yeah.